What's the depth of field for a macro lens that is a 1-to-1 dedicated lens versus an 18 by 55 set at 55 with 2 extension tubes getting it to 100 millimeter? Which one has the better depth of field? Let's find out.
Hey, I'm excited about photography and I hope you are too. So let's learn together.
The setup for this is pretty simple. We just have a tape measure lined up right up close to the lens. I mean, we're talking within a millimeter away. I'm just going to turn it on and see what its focus is out to, and also what that depth of that focus is. Is it going to be really big or really small, depending on the f-stop? So as you can see, we have the f-stop set at 2.8, and additionally, I had to set a different ruler up because the other one was curved and couldn't really see the numbers. So I took this flat one out, and you can see that where we're at, 5 inches away is where we're at, and clarity, we're getting about 3/16 of an inch. Let's take a picture of it and see what it looks like. And now we'll take the f-stop up. Let's take it up to, let's take it up to 5.6 first. Let's see what that does. Take it up in increments. So it looks like I got a little bit bigger depth of field there, just a touch. Let's take a picture of that. Wow, that looks a little bit better. Now we'll go up on, let's take it to 11 and see what that looks like. Oh, wow. Getting a lot more depth than that. Alright. Let's take this up to, I was going to say 16, but why not? Let's take it to 16. Wow. Okay. We're getting a lot more. I might have to expand this a little bit. I'll stand by. I had to make an adjustment to the angle so we can see actually more of the ruler, because getting up to f16, we're actually seeing a lot more than I thought we would get. See, we're almost getting geez, that's a ½ an inch right there. So I'm going to take this right up to, let's go to 22. That looks like it's getting even more. I didn't think it was doing that. I thought I was only getting a small segment. So let's see what this does at 32. This is the maximum I can go with it. Wow, that's like from 4 to 6. That was almost crystal clear there. Okay, maybe not. I think it gets about 4.5. Pretty darn close to 6, but that's definitely at least an inch and a half. I'll have to take a look and see what it looks like on the big screen, but that's much better than I thought, at least from this angle. So getting an insect in here, you have a much greater depth of field with this than I thought. Learning something new every day. Let's see what it does when we put the extension tube on the 55 and see if we get any type of other results from it. I have the 18 by 55 millimeter lens attached to two extension tubes, one being the 36 millimeter, the other being the 12 millimeter. So we got 48 plus 55. We're right there at 103 millimeter, which is pretty close. Now the lowest we can get is a 5.6 on the f-stop, and we're about half the distance. We're at 3 inches versus that almost 6 inches with the other lens, as far as getting close to your subject. So if you were getting close to an insect, you're getting pretty close, versus the other one, you're getting a little further away, which is kind of nice. Now 5.6, if we give it the old snapperoo. Oh, autofocus is on. That's going to be a problem. Actually, Didn't even think of that. What? It kind of moves it a little bit, but it stays right there. That's interesting. It's funny, I was going to say. So we can get it right out close to 4 as the max. Let's get it right there at 3 or 2.5. Right about there. So there it is, 2.5 inches and about 1/8 of an inch. So let's see if we bump that up. Take it up to 11. Guess I should leave it right there at about that 2.5 range. So that looks like it's got about 1/4 of an inch. Didn't really change too much. We bumped this up to 16. Let's take it up to 22. Let's double it up. Take that photo. Ooh, getting a little bit more clarity there. That's nice. And we can go up to 36 with this one. See how much we get with that. Oh, wow. Yeah. But we're still a lot closer to our subject with this lens versus the macro. We'll have to check the depth of field, though, to see which one has the greater depth of field. Moving the images into Photoshop, got a much cleaner look at what's going on here. The next couple of images, we're going to take a look at the macro lens specifically. And here we have the f-stop of 2.8, and it automatically set the ISO of 2000. We end up with what looks to be about 1/8 of an inch. From about 5 inches away, we can get about 1/8 of an inch clarity. I jumped ahead straight up to the f16, which auto set it to 6400, which is making me think maybe I could manually set this with manual setting as opposed to just aperture specific or priority of aperture. But regardless, we're still at the 5 inches. It looks a lot cleaner and clearer than it did here. I mean, we can't even see the 5, but at f16 we can at least see the 5, and out easily past 5.5 we can kind of see that, whereas here we couldn't even see it. It's blurry. So it looks a lot better. I would say this section, we got maybe 3/8 of an inch, or yeah, 3/8 of an inch. Looks good. Now if we go here, now we're at the f32. We went straight up to the max, still at 64, and it really looks granular. To me, it looks granular. Again, I had to tilt the camera a little bit more because we were starting to get a lot more depth out of the 32. So I pushed it out, pushed it down, or took a more of an angled shot up the ruler. So it wasn't exactly the same, but still, I would have to say that we're getting a decent amount of clear shot. But it's so granular, I don't think I would do that. 16 seems to be a pretty good number here. F16, and I might want to play again with this 6400. Maybe adjust that and play with the shutter or the step to try and adjust the brightness. So when we go to the 18x55, and here we have the lowest setting again, we have approximately 1/8 of an inch as well, but you can see we're only getting about 3 inches out. And then jumping right up to the maximum, we can see it gets a lot cleaner and clearer. The one thing I did notice that I thought was really interesting in this image is you can see how clear the carpeting, the blanket is,
and then as it approaches the ruler, it has to step up, go across the ruler here, and then it steps back down and gets this clarity right about there. Is that not crazy to see this down here? Kind of gives you an idea that it steps down to this section here. I thought it was kind of interesting. Anyhow, let's get rid of that. And like I said, with the 18 by 55 with the 2 extension tubes, you're getting much closer to your subject. 3 inches versus 5 to 6 inches over here. So an insect, you definitely want your macro. For a flower or something stationary, extension tubes could be used. I think it would work well. In fact, here it becomes very granular, and if I took the details of this image here, 55, 64, fourth of an inch, yeah, fourth of an inch, a fourth of a second. Maybe you could get a little cleaner by dropping down the ISO, dropping out some of that noise, and by doing so, it's actually going to be very bright, and you lose a lot of contrast there. So you'd have to step down. There'd be some playing around to do to get this to work. Which is better, extension tubes or the macro lens? I have to go with the macro lens. I think it's a much cleaner and crisper image. So extension tubes are possible up close, but a macro lens will certainly get you out away from your subject a little further, and playing with the numbers, you might even get a much cleaner image with it.
Okay, that's it for this video, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button. I post a weekly video, so be sure not to miss next week's video by hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell. Feel free to leave a comment below, and we'll see you next week.